Hello, hello, hello. Um, so I'm here in Northern California and decided to get on today and do this video. I think I need to wait just a few seconds. I know for the people who are seeing the recorded version, you can just jump in. But sometimes on live, you have to give people a minute to like recognize what's happening. I won't wait too long. But I'm here and I'm coming to you guys to tell you about, kind of give you an update and also hopefully share some things that will be useful to people for when you may be going through something similar to what I have been experiencing recently. So okay, I'll just get into it. So I told you guys in one of my past recent videos that I am, I received notice of a change that's coming in my life, a big change. And it wasn't a total, I mean, it was a surprise, but like on a deeper level, it wasn't really a surprise because it was something that I had already been considering about like, I was ready to kind of make a change, but just wasn't sure how it was going to happen. So, hi, Kenny Spears from Texas. Thanks for joining in. Nice to see you or hear from you. See your message. Thanks. So people say, oh, be careful what you wish for, be careful what you pray for. So I had been contemplating and trying to kind of think through what I might want to do after my current employment position, right? Where I've been for a number of years. And it's been fine. I don't have any issues. We get along and, there's no drama. It just was like, how much longer do I want to do this? Hey, Warren, how much longer do I want to do this? And I was feeling like it's kind of time to make a change. And that change was coinciding with my son's upcoming graduation from 8th grade, right? So I'm an older parent, wait a little bit longer in life to have my child. That's a series of circumstances. I won't go into all that now. But anyway, so that's like a natural transition, at least in this educational system. There's kind of a break there, right? From middle school to high school. And I was like, okay, that's a good time if we're going to make a change of, whatever sort, like residence, certainly school, that kind of thing. That's when you do it, ideally. And honestly, before I even left the DR, that was really like I had been planting those seeds mentally anyway. Like, okay, we'll go back to the US for a minute, but then perfect time to bounce out. Kind of like almost the same amount of time roughly in the DR and then back in the US. So here we are now at that, or almost at that juncture, right? It's going to happen in June, summertime. And so it's March. It's coming soon. And so then I get this notice about my job, like they're eliminating the whole, basically like the department that I work in. They're just going to change everything around and all that. And I was like, okay, here we go. So got what you asked for, indirectly. And at first I was like, oh, good, this means like, one door is shutting, another door is going to open. And I still believe that's true. But my initial reaction was really just calm and like, okay, I'm just going to like, prepare myself and whatever. And then it began to sink in like, oh, no, not oh no, but just, like the enormity of this. Because what it means for me, at least the way I'm thinking about it, is that I now have to figure out what is my next move. Did somebody say something about chess on here? Center back. No, I'm thinking of something else. Anyway, like what's my next move on the board, on the game of life? How am I going to navigate this? And, there's part of me that's like, I don't know, what am I going to do? And how am I going to figure out all the things? And, you start running down your mind, like I have to take care of this and this and this and this. It just feels like enormous sometimes and can feel very overwhelming. And so I've definitely had feelings like that recently, like overwhelm and anxiety and like freaking out and, panic and all this stuff, waking up in the middle of the night, like, what am I going to do? And then I have alternate times when I feel like I am completely prepared. I have a plethora of skills. You know what I mean? There's just a lot that I have to work with. I am not like some people who, may get similar news or worse and just don't have, some of the privileges that I've been fortunate to have, or, like I said, the skills, family support, that kind of stuff. So it's been like kind of so just so I got the notice of this closure at my employment, at my job, a few weeks ago. And it wasn't until maybe within the past week that all this other stuff started to kind of come down on me like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so in one of my little panic moments the other night, I reached out to a friend and I was like, what am I going to, I kind of explained the situation. And my friend's response was, first of all, it's perfectly normal for you to have that reaction, but also you are prepared. You are prepared. Like anybody would kind of have the same reaction. And here's something you could actually do, like to kind of walk you through it. And the suggestion was write down, because I had shared like a bunch of, I feel like I'm not ready. I feel like this. I feel like that. What about that? All these kinds of statements and like declarations I had shared in thinking about, oh, hi, you guys. I see the messages. Hi, hola, hola. Um, I said some things about how I was feeling. And so then I was like, well, no, okay, so write down all those things you said and kind of like, like negative things. I'm not ready. I don't think I have what it takes to, make this big leap and everything. And it's like, okay, write down all that stuff, like on one side of the page or on one piece of paper, write down all those things that you think about, right? And then once you get all that out, like release that stuff, that junk, right? And then, of course, on another sheet of paper, for every statement that I wrote, like if I'm afraid or I don't feel like I have what it takes, that kind of stuff, then you write something that is not so much like the opposite, but a counter, like a thought that counters that is much more supportive. And one of the things my friend said was like, you don't have to know. It's okay not to know exactly what your next move is or how it's all going to be resolved. Like, it's okay not to know that. Right? Some things are unknowable. You can't possibly know in every moment how, something's going to unfold. And that's okay. Even though it feels like the sky is falling or the earth is rumbling beneath your feet, it's okay. And so I haven't done the whole list because I had a whole lot of thoughts that came out, recently, but I have started it. And I will say it is helpful. It's like a reframe, right? So when we don't know, when we have those fearful thoughts or negative or, self-doubting thoughts, that kind of stuff that come up for whatever reason, I think it is a good idea to kind of, it's like you have to stop yourself and go, where is this coming from? Not sure. I can say, well, it's coming because my job's going to come to an end, but also like it's like triggering some fears inside. And so to me, that means like, okay, this is unearthing some stuff deep inside that had been dormant maybe for a while because things were cool. And thanks for the thumbs up. And so now it's an opportunity to do some work and to begin to kind of maybe toss out those rocks of doubt and fear that were in there through some of these exercises, right? And to recognize, oh, this is an area where you still have to do some work. Like maybe you don't feel so confident that, you have the skill or the ability, or you feel like this is just general stuff. Like you feel like you're not smart enough. You feel like you don't have enough money to do something. You feel like you're too old or you're too young or, that kind of stuff. Those things that come up. I don't have whatever. And so that lets you know that's where your fears lie. Right. And so what do? Suddenly you become aware, very aware of what your fears are. And then, so that's kind of a good thing. I mean, it sucks in the moment because it does feel scary. It does feel like, what are you going to do? But then you have the opportunity to go, okay, well, now I see very clearly what I'm afraid of or where I feel like I'm not enough or that kind of stuff. And you can begin to work through that. And that's why I said, like, one by one, you list those things. So you can see, oh, okay, so I don't think I have what it takes on some level, right? Or I feel like I've missed the boat on something, or, and it takes a while. I mean, it's an exercise. You have to be willing to take the time and really sit with yourself and sit in those uncomfortable feelings. I saw something. I was looking at some like randomly kind of scrolling on some TV the other day. I think it was maybe yesterday. And I don't know if you guys know who Emma Grede is, Grede. Emma Grede. She's like this big, amazing entrepreneur, businesswoman, philanthropist. She's in business with the Kardashians and, is part owner of Skims and all this stuff, like highly successful, beautiful, British and like Caribbean descent kind of thing. Anyway, and I saw a little clip from something she had put somewhere, and it was talking about it's kind of unrealistic for people to think that they should be happy all of the time, or that everything's going to engender like these really good feelings and all that. She's like, and I think she called it the rule of thirds. So like a third of the time you might feel like, yes, I nailed it. I'm on top of my stuff. I got it going on, whatever it is in your life that's like, that's working. Cool. And there's a third of the time you're like, okay, I kind of, it's okay. I got it. I'm mostly handling it, but you're not entirely sure. You're not entirely kind of comfortable in your space. And another third of the time, you're like, oh, this is not okay. I'm not comfortable. This is difficult, that kind of thing. And that actually was interesting to think about, because I do feel like a lot of times, I don't know if it's just people in this country or maybe you're in another country or whatever, but we can feel like we're supposed to be, almost like we're entitled to feel good all the time, or to feel like things are supposed to just be going in our favor all the time. And I do feel like that kind of sets us up for maybe failure, or at least to be highly disappointed when that doesn't happen. Because I mean, life just isn't like that, right? I mean, even if you sit and you think about, oh, happy thoughts all the time, and you get into your meditative state, that's fine. But circumstances that have nothing to do with us, a car can drive across the street and, roll over your flowers. I mean, something as silly as that, or, who knows what, all kinds of things can happen that are really outside of our control, the way other people behave, that kind of stuff. And so you just have to be prepared to manage when things don't go your way. And I think that's why I'm saying I think there's value in this practice, or this exercise of taking the time to write down when you are really uncomfortable, when things get scary, or maybe you're just really angry about something because of the way somebody reacted, or the way you reacted, or whatever the case may be. Notice what is coming up inside of you. Notice how you're reacting to something. Are you getting really angry? Are you short-tempered? Do you withdraw? Are you like ice treatment, kind of cold shoulder? Do you retreat and like want to go be under the covers for days on end? Like what, how do you handle stuff? Do you doubt yourself? Do you say negative things? I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I probably shouldn't have thought that. I should just quit. Notice what your reaction is to difficulty and to uncomfortable situations. And when you have that gift, I'm trying to, reframe everything. When you have that gift of becoming aware of it, then you get to go, all right, let me just really think about, am I really incompetent in this area? Do I really not have what it takes to make it over this hurdle, this difficult challenge? I mean, the answer is usually like, no, that's not true. Maybe you do have to learn a new skill. Maybe you do have to, change your behavior in some way, or, some type of leveling up. I mean, frankly, I've thought even about, they're talking about all these classes that you can do online for free, like at Harvard and MIT and just different places. And it doesn't have to be, Harvard, but I'm just saying, apparently there are many different opportunities to pick up skills for free. And I thought, well, shoot, I mean, at this point in my life and my career, I'd like to just be coasting and not have to do anything else, and, be all banked out and just chill. That would be great. That's ideal, right? Well, that's not where I am, honestly. And so maybe I have to put in the effort of picking up another skill. Maybe it's some tech type skill, or some, like cybersecurity is a big thing, or, privacy. And I mean, I know some of those things, but not really to the extent that I might be competitive with some young tech person. That's not really what I've done for my entire career. I've done some of it. You know what I mean? So the point is, we may have to make some changes. And the fear, I think, can show us where our, like where the holes are, where the weaknesses are. If you're feeling that you're not, if you're feeling that you're not prepared, you're not qualified, you don't have what it takes, maybe it's a financial thing. Well, I don't come from a family of money. I don't have, pardon me, someone to back me up. Then maybe you need to sit down, look at your finances, and look at, have I made decisions that are going to help me in terms of, savings, or I don't know, that kind of stuff. AI, exactly. Right. Of course, AI is a big thing right now. So maybe there's an online class I can take that really does a deep dive into AI. So at least I can talk the talk if I need to get me through a door, to get me an opportunity, right? Do I want to spend my days learning about some of that stuff? Not necessarily, but might it help me to get to where I do feel more comfortable, and where I am going to be qualified to say, yes, I can do a particular job or task? Yeah. And is it worth it to me? Is that going to cross one of those fears off my list, for example? Yes, I think so. So that's really kind of what my message is about today. I think it's also important to give ourselves a lot of grace, because I was sharing this with someone the other day, and the comment was like, well, Kelly, why are you being so hard on yourself? You know what I mean? Like, because I was like, I have to figure this out. I gotta know, I gotta know, I gotta know. And they're like, no, it was like, well, if one of your friends said this to you, that this was happening in their lives and they were feeling this way, like, what would your response be to them? Would you be like demanding and saying, oh, you should know this by now, you should have it figured out, you should have a plan? No. Or would you be like, it's okay, it's going to work out, it can feel really scary, and you just sort of talk through it more gently. So I'm trying to do that. The other thing that, if you guys have watched me for any length of time, is one of my favorites, is getting quiet. And for a long time, I'd say over the past year, I had such a hard time just being still and like closing my eyes and just like doing meditation basically. And I do believe that meditation doesn't always have to be like, oh, like you're on a mountaintop, right? You can do a walking meditation. In fact, when I used to walk in the park all the time or on the beach, those were kind of meditative times for me, because I would just sort of zone out and like notice the beauty of the trees or count my steps, or, that kind of thing. And so it took my mind out of like the routine of things I was always thinking about. Or like I do rowing classes now. I really like the rowing classes. When I'm in rowing class, I can't think about anything but like, let me pull this thing one more time. Let me just try to finish, get to the end of the song, get to the end of the whatever the exercises we're doing, whether it's a sprint or a distance row. It helps me kind of manage that. And maybe that's why I'm able now to be a little more quiet, because I have been more successful with meditating recently, and I found that that is so helpful. And again, in some of my past videos recently, I've talked about Joe Dispenza and his meditations. There's all kinds of stuff on YouTube. If you just want to put on like a frequency, 528 hertz or 639 hertz or any of those, and just like zone out. I sometimes like chanting. I love like the Tina Turner chant. People think about Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, the Buddhist chant. That's wonderful. Anything to kind of like just to change your mind and like change the vibrational state of your mind is really good. And then you can think about, maybe not even think about, but I think when you get into those states where you're clearer and you're not efforting, you're not like trying to figure something out. I mean, I'm in my head all the time because of my job and, having to run a household and all that. So to get out of my mind in that way is helpful. And so if you can calm yourself by doing, maybe it is exercising, maybe it's walking, maybe it is some type of meditation, or putting on like a frequency, or doing a chant, or, any of those things that feel right to you. You have to decide what it is for you. Then the answers can come to you, right? That's kind of how it works. It's not like you have to work so hard to figure everything out. And I feel like in my life, I've done so much of that. That's why I feel like I'm exhausted from like another thing I have to figure out, another thing I have to come up with another solution. I got to pull another rabbit out of a hat. So now if I'm just quiet and it takes a while, I will say that, in terms of meditation. So at first it's like, okay, 15 minutes. Yay, I did that. And that was an accomplishment, from not being able to sit still for like 3 minutes to go to 15. But now if I can do an hour, and honestly, there was a time, this was years ago, when I could do 2 hours, it was like incredible. So I offer that to you guys to see if you can also find a way to be quiet and allow some answers to come to you. Okay. And then hopefully, if you are now or at any point facing something that feels challenging, it's going to be a little bit easier to overcome that challenge. I think that's it for now. I hope that's helpful to somebody. I'm walking through it as we speak. So I hope that you find some value in this, and that, if at any point, like I said, you're facing a challenge, then you too can use some of these tips and see how it works for you. Please leave me a note, like leave a message in the comments and let me know, are you in a spot like that? And if so, how are you handling it? Have you been there before? Like, what do you do in these instances where maybe life throws you a curveball, or something has come up that is presenting a challenge, is bringing up fears inside of you? Like, how do you manage that? That's what I'm working on doing right now. Hope it's helpful for you guys. Have a lovely day. Keep feeling good about yourselves, and we'll talk soon. Bye.